From NAFSA 2017, I'm Sarah Custer with the Pine News, and this is Up Close with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Mr. Abdul-Jabbar is the NBA's all-time leading scorer and a 6-time NBA champion. His 50-year career includes athletics, activism, and he's a New York Times best-selling author. His recent book, Writings on the Wall, Searching for a New Equality Beyond Black and White, offers his perspectives on the political issues facing America today. Currently, he's chairman of the Skyhook Foundation, whose mission is to offer kids a shot that can't be blocked. It creates educational opportunities in the sciences, technologies, engineering, and mathematics to underserved communities in outdoor environmental learning. In 2012, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton appointed him to be the only U.S. cultural ambassador, and in 2016, President Barack Obama awarded him the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Abdul-Jabbar. It's an honor to be speaking with you today.
Oh, no problem. Nice to be here.
You've had a very impressive career, and it's been incredible. And you recently celebrated your 70th birthday, if you don't mind me saying. But you still managed to be such a relevant voice for Americans. And I'm just wondering when you decided to make your legacy beyond just being an all-star athlete.
Well, I think I always had ideas about what was the best thing for my country. You know, like all Americans, you have ideas about it, and I've entertained those ideas most of my life.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your background and your upbringing? And I know that you met Martin Luther King Jr. very early on in your life, and you grew up in New York. So can you tell me a little bit about how that upbringing has affected where you are today?
Well, I think the things that really affected me when I was like in grade school had to do with the civil rights movement. Some of the major events of the civil rights movement were very intense, and I paid a lot of attention to it, and I always wanted to do my part to hopefully affect change.
Do you think it's easier today for athletes of your caliber to be social justice activists?
I think so. I think the fact that today most prominent athletes have a large following, and plus we have Twitter and things like that, Facebook. So people pay attention to the people that intrigue them, and they follow them in social media. And I think that we have a platform there that enables us to affect people and let them know what we're concerned about.
So the new media is kind of make it easier for people to really communicate their views.
Yeah, I think so, because they kind of they more or less reinforce each other. You know, you have someone who says something on one, and it gets picked up, and then it might get picked up by a news agency, and you know, it really has some resonance.
Yeah, definitely. So we're at NAFSA, which is an event about international education.
Yes.
And the opening plenary speaker yesterday was Isabel Wilkerson, and she said something that was, she didn't believe that we could consider ourselves educated until we went outside of our country and saw how other human beings were living. And I just wanted to hear your opinion about that.
Well, I think Ms. Wilkerson's opinion is very valid. We have to know what's going on in the world, because we're all on this spaceship together. Sometimes we forget that, you know. We think of people living in other places in other countries as not part of us. But we're all on this spaceship together, and we got to figure out the best way to make this ride last a few more thousand centuries, you know. So we've got work to do to make sure that humanity proceeds in the most positive way that we can.
I read your book, Writings on the Wall. I thought it was fantastic. I really appreciated a lot of the insights that you gave and some of your opinions about some of the very important issues in America. And one of my favorite parts was the final chapter with your unsolicited advice for American youth. And in it you talk about the American dream for Generation Z, and you really advise them to kind of hold tight to the values of the U.S. Constitution. And I was just kind of wondering how you feel this kind of search for multiculturalism in education, which is what we're talking about today, like where that sits with holding tight to the values of the U.S. Constitution.
Well, I think the values of the Constitution get reinterpreted every so often. You know, every generation or two, there's a different focus or different events make for a different outcome. So we have to accept that. But I think that what the Founding Fathers put into motion has served as the best way to run things. I haven't seen one that's better yet. There's no other place that I want to go. The places that I want to go end where the borders of the United States end. So rather where I want to live.
Right.
So I'm very pleased and privileged to be a U.S. citizen. I think we have an opportunity still to be leaders in the free world and have a meaningful impact on the way things will be.
Yeah. Considering the past year or so talking about politics in the United States, it's quite a divided union we've got right now.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to hear what you think needs to be done to reinitiate the dialogue, to kind of bring these two opposite poles back together.
Well, I think, whatever happens, it's going to have to start with dialogue. You're going to have to get whatever the factions are to start talking, because we're all in America together.
Yeah.
Those people are our fellow citizens, and we have to communicate with them and enable them to tell us what rubs them the wrong way. We tell them what rubs us the wrong way, and eventually, hopefully, we will get to the point where we can start coming up with solutions.
Hopefully.
Yes.
You've dedicated a lot of your life to telling the missing stories of African Americans. And this is an issue that comes up in our fields, especially in study abroad, that African American students there's a lower participation rate for African American students. So I feel that there are some missing stories from African Americans as well in our field. So I'd be interested to hear your opinion or advice for educators to really increase that in study abroad for African American students specifically.
Well, I think when African American students go abroad, they enable people in other cultures to understand American culture better. So much of African American culture is what makes American culture unique, and people don't know that.
Like what?
Like potato chips, which was at one time the most popular snack food in the world. It was invented by a Black American. People don't know that. Things like that are essential so that people will understand that Black Americans have contributed so much to what makes America great.
And I know through your foundation, the Skyhook Foundation, you're really trying to increase the opportunities for underserved communities in education.
Yes.
So can you speak a little bit about that and the work you're doing?
Well, my foundation is dedicated to promoting STEM education and the science, technology, engineering, and math, because that's where the lion's share of the great jobs in the 21st century are going to be. They're going to be related to those subjects. So we try to get a head start for kids, giving them an idea about where the jobs are and how to get there. And we found that if you get the kids before they've had an opportunity to deal with the negative influences of peer pressure and popular culture, they can get a very good idea on where to direct their lives on their own. So that's my hope. We've sent some 80,000 kids to camp so far. We have a 4 or 5 year waiting list.
Oh, fantastic.
So I think it's been a success. The LA Unified School District is very happy to work with us, and I'm very pleased with the results.
Fantastic.
Yes.
In terms of international students in the United States, is there anything that you think that we could be doing in terms of educators in the field to show the rest of the community in the United States the value of international students and international educators?
Well, I think the ability of people from other countries to come and help us with some of our problems because of their expertise and their knowledge, I think that's always a great reason that people want to listen to, that justifies the wisdom of that policy. And I think we just got to let people know the good results.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to meet you today.
Nice talking to you.